Welcome back to Illinois Field, bottom of the first, and Cameron Chialoy is going to be up to bat, and he's going to be taking on Jake Yeager. Yeager, only a freshman right-hander from Maryland. And it's been a weird weekend, to say. There was expected pitchers that decided that they were pulled not to pitch because of no Friday, moved the game to Saturday. And how does that affect these starting pitchers who are such creatures of habit?
Well, fortunately for Yeager, he was kind of planning on pitching Game 3.
As Chialoy pops that one up, and it drops right in front of Lambros in center field, and he's on base with a single.
I didn't know how this series was going to play out. The Friday game got axed. Then you look, are you going to have a doubleheader on Saturday, a doubleheader on Sunday? But Jake Yeager planning on being the Sunday starter, and really talented freshman here, got a very bright future in front of him for Maryland. He's getting some action against some really good teams early in a weekend rotation. For a freshman to do that, pretty impressive.
Z-Big up against the freshman now. He had himself a day. We talked about him in the open, hit the walk-off run rule home run to end last night's game. He swings it the first pitch. That one fouled off.
Yeah, Chialoy leading off with a single. He reached in 6 of his 9 plate appearances yesterday, and now he gets on to lead off this game. And Jack Z-Big, who was 5 for 9 with a homer yesterday, and he's followed up by LaChanson. We highlighted Z-Big and LaChanson in the open. It's a dangerous duo. Illinois is trying to get off to another hot start.
And Chialoy moved from the 9th spot all the way up to leadoff, where he played most of last season before suffering an injury that ended his freshman campaign. That's going to be a ball, so the count's 1-1.
Yeah, really talented sophomore. He made an instant impact last year for this Illinois team. Starts this year as the leadoff guy, struggles out of the gate, but he's starting to come around to an already potent Illinois offense. If he starts playing like he did last year, dangerous, dangerous Illinois team down the stretch.
Illinois in their Sunday blues today, Maryland in the red with the gray pants. Chialoy on first. He had a couple of RBIs yesterday, along with reaching 6 out of 9 times, like you said. That's going to be outside for ball number 2.
I mean, you're getting this kind of offensive production out of your shortstop, Z-Big. I mean, hitting .369, leading the team. And then do you expect your shortstop to lead your team in homers? 7 he's driven out of the yard and leads the team in RBIs as well.
That one's going to be in there for a strike, 2-2 count. Illinois was very active on the base paths yesterday. Employed the double steal 4 times, was successful every single time. And Yeager's going to be keeping his eye over on Chialoy. And right as I say that on cue, the pickoff attempt.
That's right. It's kind of a new aspect to the Illinois offense last year. Last year's Big Ten championship Illinois team famously hit the ball out of the yard a bunch, and this is a yard you can hit the ball out of. This year they still hit the ball out of the yard a bunch, but 41 stolen bases on the year. Chialoy over at first has 8 of them.
Z-Big deep. It's going to be covered up by Lambros, an active center fielder. Is going to make sure Chialoy stays on first, but good contact there from Z-Big, but it'd be better play, routine flyout for Lambros.
Wonder if you'll see, especially if we get to 2 outs in the inning, if that would be a green light for Chialoy. Illinois team, we're talking about the stolen bases. They stole 4 of them in Game 2 yesterday.
And you're looking at Maryland's defense right now, led by head coach Matt Swope. We just talked about Lambros, Hill, and Orr. They're making the outfield. The Hakopian brothers, the middle infielders, with Porter and Martin on the corners. And Calarco is back as catcher after getting pulled from last night's game. And Greg LaChance is up. He hit a no-doubt homer yesterday. Has had himself a pretty solid weekend. 22 RBIs with that 3rd homer he hit. The average all the way up to .333 this season.
A little bit of a wind blowing in from left field, so we'll see in terms of the power that both of these teams have if that holds any balls in the yard. Maybe that ball in the first inning that Maryland hit. It's not a huge win, but it is enough that maybe that ball that Valencia's caught out in the first inning, maybe that would have got out without that wind.
I think Chris Hakopian was probably hoping for a little bit more pushing outwards. Obviously, Illinois Field, one of the windiest fields in the Big Ten. LaChante's hard hit ball. That one's going to be fair. That's going into the left field. Chialoi's thinking 3. They're going to send him home. LaChante is at second base. The throw coming in, and Chialoi is going to safely reach home. Illinois up 1-0.
9th extra base hit of the series for Illinois, and here we are in the first inning of Game 3. And Illinois has gotten off to hot starts and not let off the gas, and they do the same thing here to start Game 3 of this series.
They scored 5 runs in the first inning yesterday. They already have 1 here today. And LaChante continues his big weekend. That brings up Colin Jennings. He had a Little League home run yesterday. One of the highlights of the big 15-3 win. And swings at the first pitch, strike 1.
Good off speed there. Looked like a changeup. A lot of times you'll see pitchers go when they're facing the opposite hand. That's a big-time weapon they've got, is to use that changeup, and he definitely pulled the string on Jennings right there.
And you just saw Chialoi come in safely, showing off his speed. He's going to swing at the second pitch, so 2 quick strikes there for the young right-hander.
Yeah, that changeup is really causing problems for Jennings in the box. So this is one of those 0-2 counts. Maybe you just throw a fastball out of the zone away just to show him a different speed and then go back to that changeup. Doesn't look like he's seeing it very well.
And Jennings went 2 for 5 yesterday with 2 runs. Swing, chopper over to second. He's going to be out at first, tried to run it out, but does his job of advancing the runner. LaChante is now at third base.
Going back to LaChante's RBI double, how about a game of inches here for Illinois in that early lead? You could see Jason Stidham over at third base. He took an extra second to make sure that he saw that ball on the line. And then with Jacob Orr, the Maryland left fielder, he was pulled a little bit over towards center, made it an extra long run for him to get into the corner, gave Chialoi enough time to score from first base.
Now it's going to be Vitas Valencius, the senior from Lockport, Illinois. 3 for 4 with a run and 3 RBIs in last night's contest. He's going to take ball 1.
Yeah, we talked about the depth of this Illinois lineup. I mentioned 8 extra base hits yesterday. That came from 6 different players in the order, so you can't just pitch around 1 or 2 guys. This is an offense that 1 through 9 can do damage.
7 of their 9 starters reached base yesterday, the only 2 being Kyle Shutman, who did not reach once, and then Will Johannes, who struck out 4 times. Johannes not in today's game. Schroeder coming back after getting a night off. He'll be the catcher. 2-0 count. That's in there for a strike.
Yeah. Often you'll see college teams, especially if there's a doubleheader, you'll have catching is the most physically demanding position to play defensively, and especially if there's a doubleheader, you'll go with 2 different guys. So for Alex Calarco behind the plate for Maryland, it just makes you respect him more. He has caught every single game for this Maryland team.
That one hard hit ball to center field, drifting over is Lambros. That one's going to get down, and another run's going to score. Valencius has another extra base hit, and Illinois is up 2-0 in the first.
Couple doubles, couple RBIs. Illinois with a 2-0 lead. That ball tailed away from the center fielder Lambros. Couldn't have placed it better, and Vitas Valencius goes to 5 for 10 in the series with 3 doubles.
And now Kyle Shutman's going to be up with Valencius on second. You talked about Calarco catching every single game, and we can talk about it later in the broadcast too. Maryland dealing with a ton of injuries. They're trying their best to put together their best lineup, but with the injuries they've been dealing with, it's been tough for head coach Matt Swope.
Sure has. You look up and down that roster, and there's a hit by pitch.
And Shutman's going to take his base and reach for the first time since yesterday morning's game.
Devin Russell maybe would have been able to give Calarco some relief this year, but he's dealing with some Tommy John issues, would have also been able to DH a little bit. That's just one of the litany of injuries that Maryland's dealt with this year. In fact, we're looking at Yeager on the hill. Evan Smith maybe would have been the Sunday starter this year. He's dealing with an injury, so that puts a freshman in a position where he's playing, starting very important games instead of maybe coming out of the bullpen or maybe getting acclimated to college baseball in that midweek role.
And that's going to be in there for a strike. We talked about Illinois' ability to steal bases. Could you see them trying to pull off the double steal right now with 2 outs?
You know, that could be Valencia's outfielder. He's got some speed. I don't know if he has the speed that you want to take that risk.
1-1 count. That's going to be the 5th Illinois batter that's been hit by a pitch in this series. But they'll take the bruises so they can get guys on base. Hard hit ball to Kopian, who struggles to get it. It's going to be over there. He's going to call Valencia safe at third. And Illinois has the bases loaded early in this one. And right on cue, we're going to have a couple of meetings between our umpires crew today. We had a couple reviews yesterday. It's new to the stadium in 2025. They have the ability to review it. And it looks like we're going to have a review pretty early on in this one.
Yeah, force play at third. Valencia's very much, he probably should have been safe at third base pretty easily with Hakopian bobbling that ball on the ground, but he gets caught in between whether he's going to slide or just go in standing. A very awkward play there at third base. And with that being a force play, that was close. That was close. Live, to be honest with you, live, I thought he was out by a half a step.
And the third base umpire over there is Jason Stidham. He was behind the plate yesterday. Greg Harmon's behind the plate today with Terry Helgett at first and Joshua Shepis at second. And it's nice to have this review. We'll take one look at it, and that's bang, bang. A big thing to remember. It was called safe on the field, and they're going to be indisputable evidence to overturn that. This will probably be the best look we have. Ball not in the glove yet. And you're right, it's that awkward. Is he going to slide? Is he going to stay up?
I think if he just slides in, he's probably safe, but kind of went down and then came back up. I don't know. What do you think? Is there enough there?
I don't. The question is there going to be enough there to overturn? If he was called out on the field, I think they'd probably stick with it. But since he was called safe, it's going to be tough to overturn. My rule of thumb is the longer the review takes, the more likely it's not going to be changed. And so far, they're taking their time with this one. And it is Country Day today here at Illinois Field. Mom's weekend as well. Yesterday, they have a bounce house for some of the younger Illinois and Maryland fans today. And a pretty good turnout. Supposed to be a bit colder, but it warmed up, and a little bit of sunshine as well. It's been a pretty beautiful day.
Yeah, honestly, and a pretty good crowd considering the schedule of this series has been all turned around a little bit. You mentioned it, 9 a.m. start yesterday, and then you play a 6:30 p.m. game. That is a long day at the ballpark. Today, originally scheduled for 1 o'clock, moves it up to noon. Get Maryland out of here a little earlier, but, you know, at least one nice thing is that these teams got the game on in the weekend. You got somebody like Indiana who's playing Michigan State this weekend. They're playing Sunday, Monday, and trying to get 3 games in. And I'm sure both of these coaches appreciate the fact that they were able to get all 3 of these games in on the weekend.
And here comes the call. And they're going to stick with the call on the field. And the booming voice from the umpire is very much appreciated. They're going to call him safe. So I do think it might be one of those situations where there's just not enough to overturn it.
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw. You know, it was a bang, bang play. And that's just one of those very difficult to overturn when it's that close. Now you got to deal with a guy who can hit the ball out of the yard into the wind with plenty of ease.
And the freshman pitcher, Jake Eager, in a tough spot. Jacob Schroeder, part of one of the key parts of that Big Ten championship team last year that Illinois had. A couple key returners, Colton Quagliano, Drake Westcott, and Schroeder, along with Cameron Chialoy. And Calarco tries his best to frame it in there, but it's going to be 2 balls on 2 pitches.
And watch out for this pitch here. Dangerous pitch for Yeager. Talking about an all Big Ten guy last year. He's Probably hadn't been the year he wanted for Schroeder, but he can absolutely hit a grand slam right here.
He was all Big Ten first team, like you said, 2 for 4 in the first game. Hard hit ball. That one's going to get by. 1 run will score. 2 runs will score. They're going to send them all. Schroeder's going to be standing up at second, and he is going to have a base clearing double. It's all Illinois in the first, and Maryland's going to talk about it. 5-0.
5 runs in the first yesterday for Illinois, 5 more runs in the first today, and this Illinois offense just keeps rolling.
It's been the extra base hits that's been really helping them, and like you said, you had to be really careful on that 2-0 count, and Schroeder makes him pay.
Yeah, that's a tough spot when you're a freshman. You feel like you should have been out of the inning, so that might have kind of rattled you because you thought you were out of the inning mentally. You got to reset. Then you got to face a guy who was, All-American last year, hit the ball out of the yard a ton of spots. Then you don't find the zone. It's 2-0, and you got to groove a fastball to him. And Jacob Schroeder knows what to do with that. He was 2 for 4 yesterday with a double. Starts today 1 for 1 with another double. 3rd double of the inning for Illinois.
And Maryland has sent, it seems like a village, out to their bullpen to get some arms ready. Now it's going to be Grant Ross, the first baseman, in the 9 spot today, with Valencius on second. Yeager has a little bit of everything as a freshman. Their velo's between 92 and 94. We haven't seen that quite yet today.
Yeah, no, he's more in the upper 80s on the scoreboard radar today.
Pretty common theme when you can hear some of these pitchers in high school they reached up to, but only happened in high school. So maybe some friendly scouting before making it to the collegiate level.
Yeager, one of the best players in Maryland, one of the best pitchers in Maryland out of high school. Somebody they feel like, it's tough for every freshman pitcher, and I don't think anybody expected him to step in and dominate. But you look ahead to a year or two, this guy's going to be really good for Maryland.
Maryland used to win in Big Ten baseball games. They had a pretty solid season last year, 34-22, but the Big Ten conference play was not friendly to them. They went 10-14 in Swope's first season after Rob Vaughn, the former coach, headed over to the University of Alabama, as that pitch is in there for a strike.
And there's people who thought that Maryland maybe should have had a chance to be an NCAA tournament team. One of the rules in NCAA tournament, you have to make your conference tournament to make the NCAA tournament. And with only 8 teams in the Big Ten tournament last year, Maryland did not have that opportunity.
And now with 17 teams, of course, Wisconsin, the one Big Ten school without a baseball team, it gets even tougher to make that final weekend in Big Ten play.
Yeah, new format this year, so 12 teams out of the 17 with the expanded Big Ten will make it instead of 8, which had been for several years in a row. That gives a little more opportunity, but that rule's the reason SEC changed their tournament format a couple years ago.
And it's going to be another hit by pitch, so Grant Ross is going to head over to first. That's the 6th of the series. And just like that, Cameron Chialoy is going to be up at the plate for the 2nd time in this first inning.
Yeah, your offense is rolling when your leadoff hitter hits twice in the first inning. On the flip side, Reagan Hall started with a 1-2-3 top half, so you couldn't ask for a better start if you're Illinois.
And this is the similar time last season where they started to get real hot, won 12 of 13 in April. And looking to do the same thing here as Chialoy swings at that one. Grounder to Kopian's going to make the play on over to first and got him. And they're able to get out of the inning, but not before Illinois tacks on 5 runs of their own. Yeager struggles. Illinois hot on Big Ten Plus.